Welcome to Podfellas, where it's just regular guys talking about regular things.
Dave, I finally didn't jump the gun on the countdown there for
That
the
was
first time.
amazing.
I saw you ready to pounce. You were hoping I would mess
No,
up.
you were
Kind of
good.
like when I'm.
You waited the appropriate amount of time, the right beat, and then you came in. I That was really good. Dynamite drop in there,
Yeah,
John.
yeah, yeah. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there. It's kind of like when my kids are in the back seat and I'm trying to order their outlandish Starbucks drinks and they're just waiting for me to screw up and I get all nervous and so anyway, well thanks for being patient with me here.
Of
So
course.
um yeah, just continuing on here at the Pod Fellas. Um let's talk about, you said before we jumped on here and it's kind of scary. What'd you say? 60
You
you
and
have
I
about
have
60
you
years
and I have
plus.
about 60 years of office experience together. I mean, between us both, each 30 some years that we worked in an office with other people, other personalities, other groups, and we realized the the office crimes and
Mhm.
office etiquette that's breached.
Right.
It's every office in the country deals with this, so it's something we need to
Yeah.
discuss.
Absolutely. And I know that you have your list and my list, but you told me offline and some of the stuff that it's wild. I mean, just when you think you've heard it all. I mean, do you want to start? Let's start with this water guy thing because this blows my mind.
Well, we all have the guy who pilfers from the office. We've discussed this. People who, if there's community food, they're taking way more than their share.
Hmm.
Whatever. We had a guy that took it to another level. This guy worked in my office for almost 4 years. Every day he would bring in a empty gallon milk jug of, an empty gallon milk jug. And before he left at the end of the day, he would go over to the water cooler and he'd fill the full gallon and he'd take it home. Now he did this for years. So he was taking 5 gallons a week for 4 years. It's a huge, no, that's a breach of etiquette. And we had mentioned to him before, jokingly, ah, how much water do you need and things like that. And to him, he saw nothing wrong with this. And it's just like when we discussed people do that with food. People do it with anything,
Hmm.
and it's a huge breach of etiquette. But it's funny how so many
Hmm.
people don't see it that way.
Well, the thing about the water, I mean, first of all, that's just wild. I would never think of that. Um, but also, the fact that at what point does that become a felony? You have to add the dollars up. I mean, bottled water isn't cheap. So if you're
No,
taking $5 a day, I mean, that adds up over 4 years. I mean, you know,
it's a lot of money, right? And we'd asked him about it, and he goes, "Oh, I have crappy city water," and we're like, "Go buy a case of water like the rest of us then.
yeah,
Go buy a
yeah,
case of water."
yeah,
He thought, well, no, they bring in this good polar water, polar cooler. Polar was a thing then.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
every day he'd take one, and there were different jugs, which tells me he's got multiple jugs in his house.
Oh,
And
he's
he was,
stockpiling. Was he
yeah.
a prepper? Was he like a
I was like, what are you
doomsday
doing? Are you
prepper?
flushing toilets with this? You don't need that much water. Are you washing your dog in it? How much water do you need to drink? And every day he took it. He never missed either. And every time I would look over and I would just laugh.
Wow.
But you were mentioning about the person that does that something similar with pizza or donuts or
Well,
cookies.
yeah. So we all know this person, and okay, let's say for instance we have a meeting, or you bring in donuts, or you bring in pizzas, right? The idea is to put it out on the main counter. Take a couple slices. I think two slices is normal for the first run, for the first out of the gate, right? You
Yeah,
go get two slices. That's normal.
I think that's standard.
That's standard, two slices, right? Okay, got it. I have seen more than one occasion, be it pizzas, be it whatever, that people will go in and take multiple pieces, half a dozen pieces of pizza or donuts, and say something to the effect of like, "Oh, my kids love this," or "They're going to love this," or "I can have this for dinner." No, you can't. That's
No.
not the intent. We are not here to feed your children. This is office because I may have want to go back and get more. It stays in this office. You have to consume it in the office. That's all
Right.
there is to it.
And,
And
and your 2 slice thing is absolutely right. You get your 2 slices, you go back to your desk, you eat it. Everyone's had a run through. Now you can go back for a second run as long as you're going to eat it there. And okay, then you take a look. Okay, we got 12 people in this office, say. There's still 2 pizzas left. How many can I take? I can probably take 2 more. You take those, that's fine. But when someone takes 6 slices back to their desk, they eat 2, and the rest they wrap up and take home, I call foul.
I call foul in a big way. And my wife's a teacher, and she has similar things where she said, cake, people will take a slice of cake, like a slab, not even a slice, like a slab. There's a slice and then there's a slab. We all know what a slab is, right?
Yeah.
That's probably 4 slices. Okay? Especially if you're taking the corner with the rows and all that, all the heavy
Yes,
icing.
you're taking all the icing, you're taking the good corner piece.
Yeah, and so they'll take that. They'll cover it with a napkin, and they'll stuff it in their box to go home. I don't know, man. It's the free stuff. It's as if nobody's ever had anything like that before, and it just really, in my opinion, shows what kind of individual you are.
Well, and the weird thing is, it's not a money thing either, because you're okay, if you really want a pizza, you can buy your own pizza for $10, a small piece. It's more about the fact that it's there, and you can get it for nothing. And there are some people that get charged up about that, and that is such a I mean, donuts. People do it all the time with donuts. They take a donut and they take 2 back to their desk. All right, they might eat 1 later that night. They might give 1 to their kids, or bring 1 for each kid, or cookies. Cookies are a big one. Someone takes a bunch of cookies home. No, these are for everyone to nibble at when they're in the break room, not to take home to feed your family. But people do it. I mean, every office in the country has a handful of moochers.
Yeah.
And that's just what they do. They're also the same ones that if everyone goes in on food, they don't seem to have their money that day. They're the first one to take a bunch home to their family.
Right. Or the new thing that I noticed with the moocher, or I forgot my wallet, is that back then we would do cash, but everyone has Venmo and stuff now, and so there's really no excuse to not chip in.
No.
But then at the same time, I'm the kind of guy too that I'm don't worry about it. I don't feel like downloading apps, and get you next time. And I think people prey on that
They do.
that fact of John's too lazy to log into his app, so I can whatever.
I'll just tell him, hey, or the person that has some really weird thing, some weird payment thing that you don't have. That's the other thing. They'll be like, oh yeah, do you have the Kumquat download? And it's wait, what? No, that's just it's from New Zealand. That's what I use. And you're like, well, no, I guess don't worry about it. You know what I mean? It's not like PayPal or Venmo. There's always someone that has something goofy. That's like going up to a roadside stand and asking if you can buy some apples with Apple Pay, or oranges. It's no.
Totally.
We all went in on a pizza. It was $3 a guy. Don't be an idiot.
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny.
Well, and then speaking of, then you're in the community kitchen there, right? Mm-hmm. And now there's a whole host of other issues that arise, such as we've discussed this before: reheating of food. There are certain things that are totally acceptable. You've got some pasta from Olive Garden the night before, chicken, sure, warm that up a little. Now, the person who has salmon or some sort of fish and wants to warm it in the oven to stink out the entire place for the rest of the day.
Right.
Again.
That's probably up there. That might be the number one, honestly.
It's pretty high.
That's pretty high. And I had a situation where you and I both come from the marketing, communication, media world, and I used to work for an ad agency, and we had a client coming in for a big pitch. So everyone's on their best behavior. Office looks great. Flowers out, got the cookies and all that stuff. And right before they were coming up the elevator, someone burnt fish. Not only cooked it, but burnt it. Dave, it was almost a fireable offense at that point. This individual
So pungent. Oh,
this person got called in because that's the first impression. You have these beautiful offices. You come up, oh, let me get you a coffee. Let me get your coat. Oh, ignore these burnt salmon smell.
yeah. Yeah, please ignore that and give us your business.
And give us $10 million. Yeah,
Right.
I mean these are and you're scrambling and what do you do in that, if you're meeting your clients as the account person, I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, ignore that. Like you have to address it.
Well, no, you can't pretend it didn't happen because now they're questioning, do I give this guy my business? I mean, if they're not that self-aware, how are they going to market my business? So you have to say, sorry about that. What a nightmare this is.
Yeah.
We smell it too, and we hate it.
Yeah. It's definitely that.
That's the kind of thing a memo ends up going out. And it shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to tell somebody, hey, don't burn fish, or hey, someone needs to clean out the fridge because there's stuff growing in there. Like people leave stuff in their fridge, in the community fridge.
Yeah.
And if somebody has to send that email out, now there's a real problem.
Yeah, that Chinese from 3 weeks ago, like, it's time to
sketchy. It's getting sketchy. It's time to go out.
And the other thing too, on sending of that email, right? I'm a fan of calling the individual out. Now I know that's old school.
Yeah.
But this whole like punish everyone, like, hey, just a reminder, crew, that no. Reminder to John, reminder to Dave, reminder to Sally, whomever. No, call them out. Publicly shame them.
Yeah.
Because they should know better. They should know better.
Be like, hey, last week we had this terribly pungent odor that is still permeating the office today. We want everyone to know that was Mark from accounting who burned his fish and left it in there. Don't be Mark. And I think that would help.
It would help.
I think not allowing people and being too polite, it doesn't help. Some people need to be clunked on the head a few times.
Yeah, and then Mark should reply and say, I was an idiot, my bad. Donuts on me tomorrow.
Yes.
But don't take them home to your kids.
Yeah, and then we take them all home to our kids and you really stick it to them. And speaking of when you're saying sending emails out and everything, what about the person who CCs everybody on everything?
Dude.
We all have to, with emails, if you're at work, it's not unusual for every 30 minutes to get 15 emails, right? When you're in a busy office, that happens. But when you got someone blowing you up by CCing everybody on everything that doesn't pertain to you, or bragging, got a problem with that. How about you?
Absolutely. Or copying your boss, something that they could come over. Like if I had a problem with something, Dave, that you did, hey, I'm walking over to your desk. I'm hitting you up just one-on-one. Hey, I'm not copying your boss. I'm not, blowing you up in front of 30 other people. The other thing too, as far as I'm concerned, those sort of like per my last emails or all these little passive aggressive things, those are fighting words. Like the way I read that is meet me in the parking lot.
Yeah. You're looking for trouble.
Yeah. So yeah, the CCs, it's
well, that person who wants to say, hey, just so everybody knows, I concluded my portion of this project. It's done. I don't know about the other departments. Okay. Right. One of you brown nose a little harder. It's like, stop telling us what you did. Don't always look for self-aggrandizement with these emails that go out to everybody in the company, particularly when maybe it only affects 4 people. Just target those 4 people. Let's not CC everybody.
No, and one of the other things too is that those same people will then mess up or do something, and there's an opportunity to just get them back. And I've never pulled the trigger on that, because once you go down that route, you become one of them.
Yeah.
But I will bring it up. I will bring it up when I see them face to face.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny. I was telling my kids one time about CCing, and they'll say, "Oh, we CC'd." I said, "Do you know what CC means?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's when you email everybody." Well, CC stands for carbon copy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what kid knows what that is? A carbon copy?
None.
You remember back in the day, like you'd have a secretary, or now you call them office assistants, or somebody who would type something up, and then you'd have 4 pieces of paper with a carbon in it, so it went through all the copies. That's a carbon copy. Now we say CC. No one even knows what that means.
No one knows what it means.
That's like if I say, "Oh, I taped the game last night." You know, I mean, I recorded it. Other people, like, what is this tape you speak of?
Yeah, and they don't have to tape it because it's on demand.
Right, right. It doesn't even matter. Yeah, but anyhow, but back to your office uh, politics that you and I just think are hysterical. What about the person that labels everything in the community fridge, and they put on what is in there because they don't trust anybody?
Yeah, they've been burnt, but I have a feeling that those are the same kind of people that would have no problem taking someone else's stuff.
Those are the
I
same people that take the pizza home to their family.
I think so. It's those passive aggressive office notes. It's those, hey, this is mine, and you know, I have 7 shrimp in here, and those kind of things. And
You
sometimes
know,
it could be
and
funny,
11,000 pieces of rice.
right.
Yeah.
Sometimes that could be funny, and those types of things. But here's the other, and this is more of a question too. It's like, okay, what is public domain, if you will, and what is lunch? Obviously, if I see a container or a bag or something, I know that that is somebody's lunch, snack, whatever.
Yes.
When it comes to creamers, here's my thought on
That's
this.
a gray area.
It's a gray area, because if I'm bringing in creamer, again, this goes back to that sort of moocher, stingy kind of. It's the same person that's going to take food home. It's the same person that's going to buy a big jug of creamer and say, "This is just mine." Now, I can get why that might happen, because you're going to always have that person that makes milkshakes out of things. So that's why it's tough. That's why I try not to do those things, or even just bring that in, because I don't even want to have those conversations.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Well, and that's ranch dressing, ketchup, mustard,
hot
any of that
sauce.
in there, right? Okay,
Yeah.
say you're a person who eats salad a couple times a week, so you bring in your salad dressing. Suddenly there's salad dressing in there. Is that free game? I don't know the
I
answer.
mean, I think it depends, right? It's kind of like, and then this isn't fair, but it's true. It's that if it's that one person that takes it, you could be pissed off at them. But if it's the other person, you're cool. Or is it just like, hey, does anyone have, you make the announcement, or you certainly don't CC the whole office on it.
No.
You just sort of say, you just say, hey, I think this is Dave's dressing. Mind if I get along? Oh yeah, look yourself. I don't know. It's one of those things where people it can get really, really weird with that. And my opinion, what I do is, if I bring something in the office and I put it in the fridge, I just assume that it's going to be used by somebody.
Well, it's something like that anyhow. Like maybe not a bagged up lunch,
No,
but
not
any kind of condiment. I feel like if I'm throwing ketchup in the fridge, a bottle of it, big bottle of Heinz, I'm assuming other people, if they have fries or something, they're going to use it, and I'm okay with that.
I'm all right with that.
I mean that's certainly not an issue. Now we used to have a problem with a battery thief in our office.
Where did you work? Did you work in a prison? Like, what the hell? Like,
we had some bad people. We had a whole drawer full of recorders and cameras and flashes. I worked at a newspaper, and a photographer wasn't always ready, but we always had cameras there, and cameras back then had a flash attachment, and the flashes were run with anywhere from 4 to 6 little batteries. So we had packs of them in there. They would just start disappearing. People would be like, "Oh, my remotes at home could use a hand," and then it got to the point where we had to start locking that door. And it went with saying, "Hey, these are just for office use. Please don't keep using them." And then finally, we had to lock them up. And it's a shame you have to do that with adults.
I'm telling you, man.
And they're all
It
getting
is.
paid enough money. They could go to Radio Shack and buy a $6 pack of batteries. It's just the fact that they're free. It's right up with the guy taking home 6 pieces of pizza for his family
Yeah.
because it's free and you think you're getting over. It's not like you're making a ton of money doing this. Again, these are all office crimes, and they happen in every office, everywhere. And I believe it happens in every country.
Oh,
I
no
don't think
doubt.
I think anywhere you get a group of people working together, you're going to have these kinds of interactions.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, you don't think you can just casually drop Radio Shack and have me ignore it? Because
Radio Shack.
first of all, Radio Shack was the place to get remote control cars and batteries. That was
Everything.
it. Some coax cables. I'm telling you, man, Radio Shack. To this day, I miss it because you could go in and need some kind of sensor, some kind.
Yeah.
It's almost like the hardware store where you go in with the screw and the dude's like, "Yeah, come in the back," and he'll find it.
And they
Same
have
thing. I have this goofy battery from this, R2D2 remote control thing, and oh yeah, we got it here. Come here.
Yeah. And I would know too. He'd be like, "Oh, that's a C24911. We got those in the back," and he'd bring this odd little thing out and plug it right in, and your thing works.
Yeah.
That's not a thing anymore. I mean, those went. I mean, I'm sure there's a few around, but I haven't seen a Radio Shack in quite a while. Have you?
No, I don't think there are around. We'll have to do. That's a whole other. I like that's. I'm going to write that down. Let talk about places and everything from Radio Shack to Hills department stores to
Hills, yeah.
Winkies, hamburgers, and Arthur Treacher fish and chip and whatever. So that's a whole other episode. But now I'm hungry.
Starving.
So yeah, it's these things, and I guess when you work with someone long enough, you're always going to have quirks, and some you can get over, and some you can't. But it's always that individual that just this habitual, office crime,
Yes.
office criminal, right? I mean, it's even when it comes to like something as simple as conversations, the elevator conversation, right? Everyone knows in the morning. How was your weekend? Oh, it was great. Yeah, it went too fast. Ha ha ha. Here we are again. Blah blah blah.
Being polite.
Hey, yeah, like, oh, did you watch the game? Yeah. Oh man, my fantasy sucks. Yeah, mine too. Whatever. You go on. You roll out. All right. Hey, catch you later. Then there's the individual that actually goes into detail, and I don't want anything to have. I don't want anything to do with that individual because they don't understand. Because I think office crimes also is it's an awareness thing.
Yes.
It's a self-awareness and a social awareness thing. I don't know. I mean, thoughts on that, or am I just
when you're like it's a 1-minute elevator ride. That's your moment to just do the. Oh, how's your weekend? Good. Oh, yours is good too. Oh, yeah, I got some lawn work done and did this, and my kid had a game. That sounds good. The elevator opens, you go your different ways, and that person wants to trap you and continue to tell you every little morsel of their weekend. That's a crime. And they're not reading the body language. You're edging away, and they keep walking with you to talk to you. It's Monday morning. None of us are really that thrilled to be there. We just want to get to our desk, kind of get into our day, warm up a little. We're not down for this meet and greet.
Right.
100%, I 100% agree with you, and that's an awareness issue.
Yeah.
I think your wife also brought up a very interesting one, I thought. And is that the one of the person who every week wants to sell stuff?
Oh.
That is a huge one that doesn't get talked about enough.
Well, right, and it's always that individual that it's one thing, Girl Scout cookies, okay. Or they'll just make the assumption, the audacity to just to throw the sheet out there and send the email to everyone as if they're the only ones that has kids or nieces selling something.
Yeah.
There's that. There's that component. But also, they're the same individual or individuals that will always be selling something, church raffle, this and that. And it's not a $5 or $10, it's a $50 this or $100 that.
Yeah.
And then when it comes time, once in a blue moon, that you may be selling something that, again, back to like, oh, I don't have the money, or I'll get you later, or whatever,
Yeah.
or they just ghost you, or they just don't even show up. Yeah, that's a big one, and that's where it's. I think, there's a whole other conversation, but I think selling.
Well, they
stuff in the
sometimes will
office-
hard sell you too. Hey, we're selling hoagies for my son's thing. And I'll be like, well, my kids play sports too, and they're always selling stuff. And they're like, come on, you want a hoagie? Then you need two. How many kids you have at home? And you're like, okay, quit trying to shame me here
Yeah,
in buying your hoagies. I got my own problems, all right? My own son has to sell 20 whatevers for his wrestling team or for his football team or her dance team. And you've got this person that has decided that the office place is their own private selling zone,
yeah, like their own,
captive
bazaar,
audience.
their market square.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
he's a difficult person too. And that's usually the same person that doesn't understand social cues and will continue to badger
Yeah.
you about buying things. Hey, remember, by Friday, and it's like, all right, if we haven't bought it yet.
They're doing the hard sell. They're sending the reminder emails.
Yeah.
Babe, did you get yours? Like, no. And
And
I
it might
remember
be
even just one
it could be
time I tried
anything. It's food. Sometimes it's candles. Sometimes it's tchotchkes and things like that. Oh, my friend is selling this for a fundraiser. I figured I'd bring them in and sell them to you people. We don't want your junk.
I know.
But anytime you throw a bunch of people together from different backgrounds and different whatever, you're going to have some interesting thing. I think they made a show on that called The Real World.
Yeah.
And you're going to have conflict. You're just going to.
Yeah, absolutely. Back to the kitchen. It seems like a lot of these office crimes happen in and around the kitchen. But one of the biggest pet peeves anywhere, but especially in the office, is you'll have the person that's just pounding coffee. They will never make another pot. They'll be the one that leaves this much
Yeah.
and, gets lost. And then you go there and, gonna make another. And sometimes if you get in that cycle, it feels like you're always making coffee because you're like, on
Yeah.
a schedule. That person grabbed it. That's huge. That's one of those things that I just.
And there's nothing as much of a bummer as when you're ready for a cup of coffee and you get a drizzle. And
Especially if you're running late for a
you
meeting.
go, okay, I got to make coffee. It takes a few minutes to brew. I don't have time to stand here, so I take my little squirt in my cup back. I drink that while that's getting made. Then I get a couple of phone calls. By the time I get back there, I run into it again.
Just where I went.
Oh, yeah, that's enough to make a guy start tipping tables over and desks over.
I agree. I absolutely. I 100% agree. We can go on about all these other things. There are some other ones that are interesting, and we talked a little bit about, but and this gets a little bit of we're trying to be family friendly here, and we are for the most part. And it might go off the rails here and there, but
Yeah.
Bathroom etiquette is a whole other one. That's a whole other one. And there's a lot of people that just aren't self-aware when it comes to that kind of stuff either. And I don't know if we want to go into the details, but we'll just leave it at that and maybe just say,
Well, bathroom
that guy
you
who
do another show.
yeah,
I don't think there's a person out there who hasn't, in an office building, found and searched for their own bathroom no one knows about or a less used one. Because of maybe sharing with a busy office, and then you find in your building there might be another place you could sneak into. I had one for years that nobody knew about. it was down in the press room, and it was this back bathroom that hardly anyone used. Only me and like a handful of other guys knew about it, and we made a pact to keep it a secret. Because again, sharing a restroom with a bunch of people when maybe the cleaning person only comes twice a week can get pretty gnarly in there.
Yes. Yes. Yep. I know. Yeah. We'll dance around that one
That's
later,
a whole
but
other subject, and
yeah.
it might require some careful editing.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but yeah, look, I mean, like you said, combined 60-ish years in
Yeah.
offices, and there's stories that we can tell that aren't family friendly, and
Yes.
they're all over the place. But I think we touched on a lot of them here today. But
Well, and we're always looking for guests to come on.
yeah,
We are just two guys from offices. We guarantee you have stories we've never even heard of, and we want to hear them. We want to hear them. We want to know what you've dealt with in a variety of situations. Obviously, if you worked in an office, you have stories that are probably going to blow our minds. We'd
Yeah.
love to share them with everybody.
absolutely. And the other thing too, Dave, and we've talked about this, but I haven't mentioned it on um, on the other podcast. But what we're going to do, we're going to have some polls, polls, um, that you can on Spotify. You can take hey, what do you think about this, that, or the other thing, and then also always leave comments. So just because you're listening, you may not want to be a guest, or you may not have the time, or you just want to throw something funny out there. You can put comments at the bottom of each podcast. So
Yes.
no, this is always a fun conversation. I think as we continue to do these things, that these sort of real hit home kind of experiential type things is what we're shooting for. So,
And things everybody can identify with. We've all dealt with these things in one variety or another.
mhm.
It's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun to know you're not alone in it.
Right.
It's also fun to laugh about it.
It is.
And that's
It
kind of
is.
what we're all
So,
about.
yeah, but well, good. All right, Dave. Wrap up, and we'll be back. And always good to chat with you here on Podfellows.
You too, John. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. And be sure to comment.
All right, man. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to Podfellas. If you are interested in becoming a Podfella, visit our site, podfellas.com, and fill out the request form.